Natalee Holloway, cross your fingers. We might be getting closer to finding out exactly what happened to the American teen on the island of Aruba. We cannot guarantee it, but we do have new and significant details to show you Monday night, right here on the record, and then you will decide. Is this exactly what happened to this teen? Have we broken the story, or is this a wild goose chase? In the meantime, and coincidental to our timing of our investigation, the Associated Press is reporting something different from what you will see here on Monday, but nonetheless a new development. According to the Associated Press, there is a new witness, a woman who is telling police she communicated with Joran van der Sloot about Natalee's disappearance, and that Joran gave her details. You go to Aruba in moments, but first, on the phone is Natalee Holloway's father, Dave Holloway. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Greta.
Dave, it seems that there are really three major developments. One is what the Associated Press is reporting about a witness. Another is what we intend to show the viewers on Monday, our investigation that began when we went all the way to Asia last June, and we've been working to corroborate different pieces of it and work on since. And then you've been involved in an investigation, is that right?
That's correct.
What is it that you have uncovered?
We have developed a witness over the last 6 to 8 months, Greta, that initially went to the police. The police kind of blew him off, as they did a lot of other people. But this witness was adamant of what he saw that night, and we brought him to Houston, Texas about 3 months ago and gave him a polygraph test, and he passed the polygraph. But basically what he said was this, that he saw Joran van der Sloot walking down the road, covered in mud, from about the waist down, missing a tennis shoe. And a few minutes later, he came driving back by with his father in his red Jeep headed towards his home.
And when was this in relation to when Natalee was last seen?
This witness stated that he saw this on the night she disappeared about 4 a.m.
Now, as you'll see on Monday, as the viewers will see, that's not necessarily something that would be inconsistent with the new evidence that we have developed, and we have ours on videotape, which is particularly helpful. But in terms of what you have uncovered with this witness, has this witness of yours spoken to Hans Moss, the prosecutor?
He has. He spoke with him probably about 4 months ago in the presence of Ben de Sousa, an attorney down there, and of course many of the people, with the exception of the prosecutor, believes this witness.
Hans Moss does not believe this witness. Hans
Moss does not believe the witness. And when the witness gave his statement, it's my understanding that when he almost got to the part talking about the judge, Hans Moss made a comment that what a nice guy he was and all this kind of stuff, and the witness then decided that, hey, I've had enough, and ended the statement, and then he came to us begging us to search this pond that's located near his home.
All right, now, who's the judge? Who do you mean by the judge? Paul Van, who was a judge in training at the time. He's no longer
Correct.
A judge. In fact, he's in private practice with Joran van der Sloot's lawyer, right?
That's correct.
Was there ever any follow-up to see whether or not your witness had information that was truly helpful? Did Hans Moss, even though he didn't believe him, did he at least assign someone to go out and investigate and look at that pond area?
No, he didn't. We had asked him to, and in fact, we had planned to go excavate the pond ourselves, and these hurricanes came through, and one came close to Aruba and filled the pond back up with water. It's still our plan to go back. I think Hans Moss and I discussed, Natalee's not in the pond, but we believe that, he could possibly find a tennis shoe, maybe your driver's license, or even some of Natalee's clothing, which would help lead into, the timeline. And also, this witness implicates Paulus van der Sloot. So if that's the case, that needs to be done.
Well, your theory isn't necessarily inconsistent with some of the stuff that we have uncovered, but I guess I find sort of curious. I mean, one of the problems, I don't know if you saw the show last night, Dave, but I'm very tough on Hans Moss because I offered to meet him halfway, even meet him on a weekend to show him what we have, which is a videotape and other things, and he simply had no interest.
Well, he's as a public official, he's got a duty and obligation to follow up on any and all leads, and he seems to be lacking in that department very severely.
Well, if he watches our show Monday night, he's going to have a big job in front of him, and I don't know how he can. I mean, it may turn out to be a wild goose chase, but it also may be turned out to be the absolute truth about what happened to Natalee, and he should at least use the subpoena power to corroborate it or to seek to disprove it and not simply ignore it. Anyway, Dave, thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Greta.
Now, the first prosecutor in charge of this case wasn't Hans Moss. It was Karen Janssen. She moved on, and now it is in the hands of Hans Moss. What do we know about Hans Moss? Joining us by phone from Aruba is Jossy Mansur, publisher and managing editor of Diario newspaper. Jossy, tell me what you know about Hans Moss.
No, I know very little about him. What we know is that he came here about a year and a half ago. He worked with Karen Janssen when Karen Janssen was still in charge of the investigation on the prosecutor's side. And then that he began his work here, being very open with the media and with everyone else. He used to put out press releases every time, inform us in detail of what he was doing and what was going on. But then suddenly everything stopped. And what we know about him from Holland is that he was a prosecutor in Holland, of course, that we saw some articles in which they describe him as a man that in some occasions has used very unorthodox methods to try to get evidence in cases that he investigated. That's as far as our knowledge goes about him.
Jossy, do you have a theory? We have obtained this evidence, and we've spent the last several months trying to prove it or disprove it. And do you have a theory why Hans Moss would not at least meet me in Miami, meet me on a weekend to look at it, or why he would not follow up with Dave, Natalee's father, on the witness that they have uncovered and apparently polygraphed? Why is he simply just looking the other way and just refusing to look at anything?
It's very hard to determine with certainty, but it is my belief, it is my personal opinion, that what he wants to do is just close this case and put it away forever without solving it or anything. Because he's been brushing aside every single witness, every single evidence, every single thing that came up. What's his motive,
though? Well, most prosecutors want to solve cases. Every prosecutor I've ever spoken to wants to solve cases. At least they will look at evidence and consider it. They don't necessarily have to buy it, but they investigate, they look at it, they study it. Why won't he?
He won't, because I think that he feels that there are upper hands above his head that are trying to see this case go away as well. And we're talking about the people who try to cover up from the sleuths.
Where is Downpig, who used to be head of the investigation? Where is he now?
He's in Aruba. He's doing some business on his own. When he left the police corps, he went into the security business on his own, and he's still busy with it, I believe.
I don't know if you can answer this question, you're willing to. I know you still live there, but is the prosecution hardworking, lazy, corrupt, ambitious? What's your term?
I can live anywhere, even in Aruba, but I'll tell you what I think. I think they're not doing anything. They're just ignoring the facts in this case. In other words, the few facts that have come up as far as evidence.
So is it lazy? Is lazy the word?
I don't think it's lazy. I think it's just indifference. They don't really they're not putting everything that they have into this case, no.
I don't even know if I would, you say indifference. It's been served up to them both by Dave Holloway and by us, and it's even worse than that. But anyway, Jossy, thank you. Hope you'll come back and join us again.
Sure.
And they are back by popular demand. Let's go to your legal panel. Criminal defense attorneys Michael Cardoza, Bernie Grimm, and Ted Williams join us. Ted, anything to say?
I got to tell you, I'm shocked. Investigation 101, Greta, is that every lead must be followed. It may lead to somewhere and it may lead to nowhere, but you follow the leads. And I was taken back when Dave said they took this kid to Houston, they polygraphed him. So I would have believed that the prosecutor would want to follow up, or if he doesn't follow up, he would have one of his investigators to follow up on it.
Bernie, the thing that bothers me is, when we were in Aruba in the summer of '05, we used to go out and interview everybody, and the police used to then call us for our interview tapes, which was just, or try to get our tapes. It was just insane. Go do your own work. But so be it. They wanted the media to do their work then. The thing that bothers me now is that in the information that we've developed, there are money transactions alleged, and they certainly have the subpoena power, I would assume, to at least track them down. They won't even look at the evidence.
Yeah, I guess what's shocking is you can't fault them for trying to get your tapes and your records. I mean, that's sort of...
They could go get themselves,
They could go get themselves, and you wanted to have this sort of the shroud of an investigation. But now you offered information, possibly evidence to this guy to fly down there, meet him halfway, and you gave Jossy some choices. I'll take door number 1, which is flat out not getting off your rear end, lazy. This is just shocking.
I actually think that's a nice thing, because lazy
is an easy way out. There's words that I can't use even on Fox to describe this, and I'll turn it over to Michael, see what he thinks.
Michael?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a hubris that a lot of district attorneys develop, that they are tantamount to a human lie detector, and I think that's what's happened to Mr. Moss. He thinks he has the answers here, and there's not enough evidence. He's not going to look at anything else, and therefore he won't talk to you. He won't believe the information about the lie detector, but parenthetically, keep in mind, lie detectors are not